Hey everyone, today on Fix and Reuse I am looking at a Polaris 9450 Sport swimming pool cleaning robot that is reporting an error 10, and you might be familiar with this because it is a pretty common one. But fundamentally, when you plug it in, which I'm doing right now, you go to start it and you get the dreaded error 10. So error 10 usually refers to, I'm just going to unplug it now, refers to a wiring problem. And I am going through troubleshooting right now. There is a way to actually take this connector apart, which is a connector that plugs into the computer. Occasionally these wires can get loose. There's a video that I will put the link to in the comments section that will take you through the steps of taking this apart. There was no corrosion on these contacts. These contacts are outside of the pool naturally in comparison to the robot itself, which goes inside the water. And this other video is actually really well detailed. It's from another YouTuber who's going through taking apart this connector. He mentioned that occasionally the wires can get loose here and that he had this problem. In my situation, it's not that. So I've also, as part of the troubleshooting steps, taken apart these two trims here. This really doesn't take you anywhere. The worst thing that can happen is that you will end up breaking the little locking teeth here, just like I did accidentally. So not something you want to look into, because this connector here is designed to be able to spin, right? So this section here spins around this axle, and you have a section here that just spins back and forth, and that prevents the wire from getting tangled. However, I took apart the robot and I'll take you through the steps. It's actually not too complicated. And when I got to the point of looking at the connector here, which is fundamentally the other end of the wire, I removed the two screws holding the connector. You pry it out using a screwdriver, and that's what I got. So this is wet, water came out, and we have some sign of corrosion here in the plugs or in the connector itself. So I'm not going to look any further. At that point, I know that's what the problem is. I will look into how I can even possibly clean this out, because it's really intricate and there's not a lot of space to work in. And it's probably just a straight corrosion issue at that point. And this is what's causing the problem 100%. At that point, it's just going to be a matter of restoring the contact between the three wires running in this cable. And the actual motor here, right, which is designed to operate on different axes and operate the gears, to operate the wheels, to take it in a certain direction. I will document the steps to take it apart. The good thing is that I did take it apart entirely. It's not too complicated, but there are a couple of things that you need to be aware of in order to take the whole assembly out. It's not too hard, but you have to do it in the right sequence. You might have noticed that the propeller, for instance, is no longer on the axle here or on the shaft. Well, that's because this would prevent you from taking it apart. So I'll take you through this when I'm ready to put it back together. Right now, the goal is going to be to clean this out. So I'll do another little video to show you how I did that. I'm not going to film any of this for now, but I will show you how I did it once it's done. Okay, so as I'm continuing to clean this up, obviously you want to make sure there's no water in there. It was just a few drops here, so I suspect that this little gasket or grommet actually did its job and managed to actually keep the water out. At the same time, so this is kind of wrapped around the cable. It should be pretty stiff, and it's fairly easy to move right now, meaning that there could be water actually seeping through between the actual isolation here, the outer shell of the cable, and the inside of the grommet here. So I'm gonna have to look into this. But I found the problem here though. As I was cleaning the wires, this one came straight out. So the brown wire is cut, right? And that's your problem right there. So now the problem, or the challenge more so, will be to try to take the pin out. Usually there's a little tooth or a little locking mechanism that once it's inserted in the shell, like in the actual connector itself, the plastic piece, it does not come out. It will prevent it from coming out by design. So I'll see how I can possibly take this out and determine whether I can fix that. The other aspect will be looking at the pins on the connector itself here, and that could be another challenge altogether. So I'm not even sure whether I'll be able to clean that out, and my camera is not even focusing on this. So it's because there is naturally some corrosion happening here too, and it's really not looking too good. So I'm gonna keep working on this one. All right, so I managed to take the pin out. I'll show you how I did that. As a side note, if you want more clearance to work on the cable here, just move this out of the way. It's inserted in this threaded casing here, right? So just pop it out and then slide this along the cable. So you need to remove the, obviously the little cap here, right? So it is screwed on, right? As you can tell, it's threaded. So unscrew it, move it along, then pop this out, move it along, and then move this whole thing along so that you have more clearance to work on the cable. Now, just to show you how the pin is designed. So fundamentally, as I suspected, it's usually the way these things are designed. So this is your pin, and you see there's a little tooth, right, that extends out. Right now, it's actually kind of reverted, because when I pushed it out, I'll show you how I did that, I bent it backwards. So I forced it out, right? And on the other side, it's quite corroded, but it's still there. And that's basically the way the little pin is designed. I might actually take the two others out, although these ones are good, so I'm kind of hesitant to do it. But they're a little bit corroded, but the contact might still be good. So I might not actually just risk it. And so now the point is going to be to just reconnect the cable or the wire to that pin, and I should be back in business and obviously clean this up. Now, how did I pull this out? Because there's fundamentally no clearance in the back of the connector. I happen to have a little file that I use for to file my chainsaw, right? And it's got a flat top, which is great. Can't really show you, but there you go. So it does have a flat top, and that flat top actually happens to be the exact same diameter of the opening. So I basically placed it on top just like I would do on this one, and use a little hammer. I just hammered the end of it, and it came out, right? So you kind of hold it in one hand. I can't really film in here with the file inserted, right? Just like that. And then you hammer the end of it, and it just popped out. Now, if it's too damaged to begin with, there's a chance that this might snap, or it might get damaged, or it might break. Here, I should be able to reuse it, which is good news. Although your case might be slightly different. I'm also going to try to make sure that this is clean, and also clean the connector on the other side, on the receiving end, right, where the motor is. But this is good news. I'm not entirely sure whether this is actually soldered or not, but it might not be. If it is soldered, or if it was soldered, I'm going to have to clean this out. It might have been soldered, actually. I think it was soldered on. And I'm going to bring my soldering iron, because I'm not home right now. And this is my neighbor's robot, actually. I offered him to look into him, because I just didn't know how to address the problem. Look into, not into him, but look into the robot, since it's been non-working or not functional for quite a while. I'm like, okay, well, let me take a look and see what gives. And yeah, that's where I'm at. So at this point, I would really prefer taking the 3 pins out. If you ever do that, remember there is a key on the connector. See, there's a little slot there on the side, right? You can see the opening, and the red wire goes on that side. So the sequence is red, brown, and or maroon and black, right? Black is on the other side, which doesn't have a slit, doesn't have a key. I would really prefer taking the 3 pins out, and because I might actually have some issues here, because this wire is going to be significantly shorter now than the 2 others. So I need to remove the casing, perhaps again solder it on before I can reassemble it. But I might actually try to take out the 2 others and see what gives. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to work something out here to make sure the wires are, you know, there is space in the connector, plenty of space in fact. So I might not risk it. I'll see. I need to remove the casing here, find out actually what shape it's in, and take it from there. All right, so moving forward here, I was able to remove the old wire from the connector, and by spreading open, try to show you actually what that looks like. Spreading open the end of it, so it actually wasn't soldered. This is a little bit weak now, because when you play around with the little wings here to spread them open, the metal tends to get very fragile and it might actually break off. I also removed the insulation around this wire. You can see it's black because there was moisture that got in between the conductors, or the copper wire here, and the insulation, right? So when you do that, doesn't necessarily mean your wire is bad, but if you want to have a good contact, make sure you scratch off the surface with a blade, for instance, or like a knife, so that you can really get the shiny copper back, right? Which is what I did on this side. I need to do it again. And that will ensure that you have proper contact between the wire itself, the conductor, and the connector. But this is looking pretty promising. I might still solder it. I'm not sure 100%. I'll see how that goes, because the quality of the contact here is really not the best. This is a pretty corroded contact here. I don't have anything to replace this, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to make do. I do have some of these connectors. They're the fast or the quick connect, but they're not exactly designed the same way. Also spread open the little wings on each side. You can see them here, right? So you can see how they're spread open. That will ensure that the connector stays locked in when I insert it back into the plug. So that's kind of step one. That might actually suffice to bring this back online, but I want to make sure this lasts. So I might still, I still need to look at the connector on the motor side and find out what that looks like. But I think it's looking pretty good so far. So I'll just keep going. All right, so I'm just continuing with this. I've tried to actually clean up the connectors, or the you can see the contacts here. They're a little dull, right? They're not super shiny and metallic the way they should be. You can try your luck with some sandpaper. I made a little tube of sandpaper here, and you can actually put it in there and go back and forth a few times. That, I'm not sure whether this is going to help much in this case. What I found was working a little bit better is use the actual connector itself, the female one, and plug it in, like actually inserting it on each of the pins and spinning it around to try to get this to kind of clean up the contact a little bit. And this is probably working pretty good. I think I have enough of a contact here really for the current to go through. And at the same time, since I have my 3 wires here, I'm now in a position that I can take the other end of my cable and test for continuity. And that's great because that's going to ensure that the cable itself is fine, right? So it's a very easy test. You put it in a ohm meter and I'm doing this with one hand, which is a little challenging. If I'm holding it here and I connect both, I'm getting a reading. So if I go from this wire here, up here, let's say the brown one, which is currently readily available, and if I go on the brown one here, which I'm going to try to hold with my foot, and I'm not sure which one that is. So 3 little screws on there. Yeah, I think this is that one here. Okay, so I'm going to hold it like that. If I can, again, I have my tripod here. I wasn't expecting to make a video today. There we are. I think I got contact here, and I grabbed my other wire. Oh, I had contact. There we go. Okay, now I got my other contact, and I touch the brown up here, and I do get a reading. So my brown is good. I'm just gonna do the exact same thing. I'm not gonna film because it's much easier to do it with both hands. Test for continuity, make sure that the wiring is good from this point here to that point here, which is the computer over there. And I'm probably going to, I'm not sure whether I'm gonna resolder it because I managed to get this slightly more open. So I should be able to crimp this in position. So I'm gonna do that and plug it in and see what happens. All right, so I've managed to rearrange the pin, secure the wire into the pin, into the connector. So as planned, it's a little shorter now, but you can kind of, fold slightly the other wires so that it doesn't cause too much trouble. And there's still a lot of space in this anyways to accommodate for the extra wiring here. So everything should be okay. We're now gonna take a look at the computer and we will test it. So I'm gonna plug this in. So we've got our computer. Gonna hit start, and I'm hearing the motor spin. Obviously the propeller is not installed at the moment, but the motor is spinning. I'm not familiar with these robots. I think it might be doing some sort of a self-test. The fact that it's responding is encouraging. There is no ER10 anymore up there. Let's see how far we're gonna take this. These are very rudimentary devices, by the way. There's not a lot of sensors. This is the brain, basically. Like this is the, you have a connector between the computer. Oh, well, we have a new problem here. So we have an error 08 now. Okay, and the system stopped. Okay, so we're making progress. Gonna look that up, find out where the problem could be. Okay, so I just looked up error 08, and it's basically a combination of errors. It could be 7, 8, 9, 10, but 8 describes a situation where the robotic motor is struggling to move. So it's a bit odd. This is turning. The other one is turning as well. Both of them do turn. And the motor, the shaft, is also turning, although I do find this to be a little bit hard to turn, but I think this is a step motor and it's designed to be hard to turn. So what I do not know, however, is whether it's supposed to sense a resistance, but this is not working. Like these wheels are not working. They're not turning. This is greased, by the way. It's supposed to be greased up. But I'm wondering whether, like, how does it know where it is fundamentally in a pull? Because I think these robots can go through sequences. So I don't know. I might put it back together, which is really just a few screws at the end, and I'll show this to you and test it again and see whether it makes a difference at all. But this is kind of where I'm at, so more to come. Okay, so I've done even more research, and as it turns out, the error 08 in particular says that the robot has sucked in air and lost its prime. And there is a process when you use these robots when you have to submerge them, make sure there's no air in them, and that basically allows the robot to operate normally. So that's interesting. I'm not sure how it's making this determination. There is no other sensor in that thing, so I don't know. It's kind of flabbergasting, and there's literally, I don't think there is this grill in there. Doesn't really go anywhere. It's just for visuals. So that means that that thing needs to get in the water. So I'm going to reassemble it and put it back together, and we're going to have to test it at some point and find out whether it's working correctly or not. All right, so to reassemble all this, in case you need to deassemble it or disassemble it more so, you're gonna follow the steps in reverse order. So here, I'm gonna just slide this onto the connector, like so. And I wanna make sure that the wires are getting in there nicely. I don't wanna crush them. And right now it doesn't seem to be happening. So I need to adjust this just a little bit. There's black stuff coming out of it. That's interesting. Pushing it in. It's better already. Still not cooperating. And I'm seeing that I'm starting to really crush the black wire here. So I want to make sure I'm not damaging these wires, because I'm going to get into the same problem again. And I think I understand why. Okay. Because the connector is really not designed to have some extra cable in there. So let's see if I can actually, by rearranging the wires here a little bit, I can make it go. Yeah, there we go. It's perfect now. Well, as you can tell, it's actually now exiting here, which is not ideal. Let me see if this is not designed really. So this slides on all the way to here. And now I have a wire that extends past the sleeve. So this is obviously not good at all, because that means that I don't have proper waterproofing around the cable. So that is going to be a problem. Oh, and now, oh, this is so annoying. Now this has messed up my repair, because the cable, the brown cable, is now out of the connector. So that's not good. I'm gonna have to look into this again. Looks like the sleeve has to be significantly closer to the pins here. So I'm gonna unplug this again. I need to take out the connectors, or the pins out of the connector again. This is a bit of a setback, but at the same time, I think this is the way I should have done it anyways. So I'm going to show you while I'm here how I did it, and I'm hoping the connector is going to survive this again. So I put my little file at the end of it. I'm holding it firmly, and I just tap the end of it, and yeah, it hasn't come out just yet. There you go. Tap it a bit more, and my pin is out. Now the locking mechanism is going to start to really get tired of getting mangled and pulled in and out like that. So at some point it's gonna break, And if it does break, I do have a backup plan. I'll need to push it all the way in, and at that point I'll put some hot glue or something of the like. So at this point, you see the wires are kind of mangled a little bit, right? That's not really good. You don't want that. So I'm gonna attempt to take out the two others, hoping for the best, and then I'm gonna retrim them, expose proper copper, like clean copper. Okay, so this one is coming out. Not all the way, but it is coming out. Still resisting. That's what I was concerned about. See, it's already out, but not completely. I can't really pull on it too hard because I might break it. Let's try to see if I can take it out. This is not a good situation. That's what I was a little concerned about. I wanted to prevent that. Looks like I'm in it now, so it's not coming out yet. It's very close, however, but it's not coming out yet. I'm gonna take care of the black one for now. Really not in an ideal situation here. It's not a good setup. Well, let's try that again, because I'm pretty much at the end here. I can't really go any further. So that's as far out as I can take it. Oh, it did come out a little bit more. Yeah, I don't think I can go any further on that one. I'm gonna go on this one now. Okay, it is coming out slowly. Okay, so now both of them are at the same stage, but they're not coming out yet. So see where they're at, right? So these connectors are notorious. You find the same kind on cars. They're designed not to be removed. So this one came out after all. That's good. And this one should normally come out as well. There we are. Okay, so there's no significant damage here. One thing that I noticed is that the little locking mechanisms or the little locking teeth are probably stuck in the plastic in there, which is okay. There's no major damage. So remember, the red goes on the outside where you have the little groove. Whoops. Acts as a key, really. It's this little groove right here. And right now what I need to do, oh, they're crimped too. It's gonna be difficult to take this out. I don't think there's any other way, really. I need to redo all this. So I'm gonna have to try to uncrimp this. Which is probably not a bad thing that these are out anyways, because I can clean them up correctly now. The little locks are kind of reverse now. Okay, so this one was reverse. Yeah. That's to be expected because I'm forcing this through the hole. Okay. And yeah, I'm gonna have to remove the cable from there somehow. and re-crimp everything back using a much shorter cable here. So that's going to be the exercise. I'm not sure how well it's going to go. I might need to solder at the end if I break this besides, like, beyond repair. We'll see how that goes, but let me continue working on this. All right, so as planned, I have soldered the wires to the connectors. Now the little locking mechanism is kind of damaged on the three of them, so they might not hold into the actual plastic connector right here. I was in the process of reassembling this in there. So again, there's a little slit here on the side, you can see it. That's the red wire, right? So I'm gonna need both hands here to put this in there, and hopefully the wires will hold in place. If they don't, I'm gonna find a way to make that happen, possibly using some hot glue in there. And yeah, that's the plan. All right, so I've decided to change my approach a little bit on this. Reason being that these little connectors that I attempted to weld aren't really not holding well. And one of them, actually this one just slipping out of the wire, and this one actually snapped altogether. So it's gonna be really difficult to fix that. This one's the only one that's holding right now. I might keep it because even the little lock is damaged, but I still have one side that I can use. But I started looking for replacement ones, and I found these. So they're basically terminals, right? And they look like that, which are pretty much exactly what I need. I'm saying pretty much because they're actually a little too big. So I have to work with them with a pair of pliers and basically squeeze them a little bit to make them a little tighter. And so that they would fit in the hole in the opening here. Because I have openings and the openings have a diameter. I might actually need to re-drill that just a tiny bit so that they fit in easily. But fundamentally, it's the same thing. Let me show you how they compare, except that they're a little bit longer, but that's really not a huge deal. And I will be able to make it work here because the very end here is going to wrap around the insulation. I'm probably going to use the other crimping as well for insulation purposes, so that the other little tabs here will actually be tightened around the insulation. Or I might actually run the wire straight in there. Regardless, it's really not a big deal because once this is in place, it's going to extend just a tiny bit. I might actually even trim the end if I want to. I could do that as well. Right? I could trim the very end here. And I will be able to make it work. These will extend about that much in the connector. They really don't go that far. And I should be able to fix that and make it work. Possibly put a little bit of insulation at the end to make sure there is no contact, or put some hot glue right at the end of the connector here. But this is my best bet right now. That was about $13. This is the place where I got that from. It's CarQuest. It's on Boulevard de la Carrière in Gatineau, where I live, and that was about 13 bucks, right? So at that point, I know that this repair is going to be much better, and I'm going to have to probably trim the wires one more time, and to expose some or maybe remove the solder. I'm not sure just yet how I'm going to do this. Either way, I think I have a plan here, which is encouraging. More to come. All right, so I have fixed the connector. I've redone the soldering on one of them. In fact, I even managed to solder within this little connector here, this terminal. So, which is great because I know now it's not going to go anywhere. As I mentioned, it's actually longer than the other one, so it sticks out a bit, but it doesn't matter because I kept the two other original ones, so there's no risk for short or anything like that. When you push the connector back in, ensure that this cannot go any further because it is a little bit longer and it's a slightly different diameter. So you want to make sure that the terminal is actually connected onto the male terminal on the motor. Right now we're at the point that I'm going to run a quick test. So I'm going to plug the computer in. I'm gonna unplug my soldering iron, it's no longer needed. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're good. We're good here, and I'm gonna start the program. And we're getting motion on the motor. It's right now trying to understand what's going on, because you do need to submerge it in order for the robot to operate correctly. There is likely a sensor somewhere that's gonna pick up the presence of water. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but there's a mechanism for this to detect that it's actually in the water. And right now it's probably gonna throw an error 08 as we had earlier, which is expected. Because it is not in the water. But we are no longer getting the ER10, which was the biggest problem here, and that's what we're trying to fix, obviously. So the wiring issue is fixed. We're getting error 08, which is expected. I'm gonna put it back together. I'm gonna submerge it in the water. I'm considering putting a little bit of silicone around this this low grommet, because I've got the feeling, see, it's very free right now, and even when I insert it in there, it's not tight enough, right? See, this runs. I'm able to spin it around the cable very easily, which means that there is air. It's not compressing the fitting enough to prevent water from coming in, which means that the problem is gonna occur again. I'm gonna put some silicone here. I think I have some here. So. And I want to make sure this is obviously watertight, right? That's the goal. So let's do this. All right, continuing with this project, I've just used a little bit of silicone here, and I've put a little bit on the outside here of the connector. So all around, it's just to ensure that we have proper seal around there. And just so you know, this is actually keyed, right? You see there's a little ridge, a little groove there. So this goes a certain way, and you can't really go wrong. And it's when the ridges on top here, so the top and bottom are actually different. So see, this is kind of slick, smooth. Here you've got ridges, so the ridges go on top, and it should slide on naturally. And then you're gonna push it all the way. And it has to be pushed all the way. I need both hands to do that. And I'm gonna put some silicone as well here, right around the little nipple. So I'm gonna put some around the wire, and then push this in, and put a little bit as well on the outside here. So it's just, again, to ensure that we have a proper seal, right? So nothing more. And that will prevent water from coming in the future. All right, so we're good here. I've retightened both screws on top and bottom, and it's nice and tight. I've put some silicone here as well, you can see it. And that's just, you can still remove it, so it's not really a problem in case you want to go intervene on this connector again. But at least it will prevent some excessive moisture from getting in, so that makes me feel a lot better. Now I'm gonna reassemble this large motor assembly, and in order to remove it, you would follow the reverse steps. As you can tell here, the propeller is off the shaft, so I'm just gonna reassemble it. It's gonna be pretty hard to do with one hand. You have to make sure the gears are in their position. There should be screws, and there should be grease, on there. You can tell there is a little bit there. It's certainly not as good as it could be, but I don't have any marine grade grease, unfortunately, so I'm gonna have to keep using what's already on there. There are grease still, so there's still grease on the mechanism, so it's not a huge deal, not a lot on that one, but fundamentally there's no grease on the gear itself, it's more on the shaft of the gear. Not a big deal, just gonna leave it the way it is right now. And the way you reassemble it, this unit, is that you have these little teeth here, these little latches, and you have 4 screws in all. It's very simple. Just gonna grab it here with one hand. Make sure the gears actually stay on, and it just goes on top like so. So it's really not complicated. One thing that you need to make sure about right now is that it's nice, sitting nice and flat. As you can tell, it is now. So everything is good. I'm gonna put the screws here, 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 here. If you will need to take this out, you will need to take the propeller out, and I'm going to show you how to do this. Pretty straightforward. I'm just going to put the screws on right now. So one quick tip, when you're putting the screws back on, you are screwing in plastic here. So you want to make sure that when you put the screw back on, that you're not cross-threading, and you don't want to be damaging the plastic you're screwing in. So the trick, or the tip, is to actually unscrew it a little bit until you feel the click, and that will tell you, there you go, that the screw is back in its original thread. That way you're not re-threading the plastic, you're basically reusing the thread that was already used by the screw at the time you took it out. Just thought I would point that out. Alright, so I'm about to put back the propeller on its shaft. The shaft has a flat spot, you'll see it when you turn it. There you go, I think you can see it now. So naturally you find the exact same flat spot location on the propeller, and you just need to make sure it's oriented correctly and push the propeller back in. Now just go straight and push it all the way. There we go. Now to remove it, you use a screwdriver and you pry on the end here, and it should pop out naturally. The next step is, I'm going reverse again, right? If you would need to take it out, you would need to follow the steps in reverse order. We have this piece here that actually needs to be removed in order for you to remove the motor assembly. So that thing slips under there. See, there's a little latch here, and that slips in the opening. Again, kind of hard to do with one hand. I'll try to do it nonetheless. Alright, so I've put the piece back on just to show how it's done, but you have a little latch at the top here. So you're going to pull on this up and then slide it out. Right? You see that there is a piece that slides underneath. I won't slide it out completely because it's just annoying to put it back in with one hand. But it's only held by this little latch and by this that goes on top. So this needs to be removed, obviously. To remove it, you're just gonna pry on both sides and it will clip out. So very straightforward. There you go. None of that is really difficult to remove, frankly. See, now it's latched in on both sides. And then you're gonna put a little screw back on top, which is this little Phillips screw, which is actually much smaller than the other ones. There you go. So this is done. This is done. Then the top cover, I did took the hinges off. There's one hinge here. There's the other one that's somewhere. I need to find it. And it's not really necessary to take that out, but I thought it was helpful on my end to actually take it out. Both hinges are the same. They're designed exactly the same. So place them back where they belong. You have 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're all the same length. And you put them back, and then the whole thing is just going to clip back into the opening here. Just going to do this now. And no need for a video, really, it's pretty straightforward. All right, the cover is clipped back on. So simply you just slide it into position, really. Note that there's a locking position in order for the cover to stay open. Just bring it all the way. Feel a little bit of resistance, right? But you're probably used to this already. And this robot is now supposed to be closing. Oh, that's because the hinge is not pushed all the way in. There we go. Now it's good. This one is good as well. There we go. Alright, well, this project is complete. Pretty straightforward. It's quite doable outside of the repair with the actual connector itself, which was the terminal, right, that you have to source. So that could be a bit tricky, but other than that, it's a pretty easy process. Considering the cost of the robot and how much they're asking to replace what would have been the entire cable, because that's what these repair shops would do, is replace the entire cable from the computer to the end, just because of a broken little terminal. Certainly worth it. Right? Doing this to help our neighbor here, but the cost of the terminals was about $10, so $13 after tax. Certainly worth it. Right? So if you have some tools and if you're willing to go and explore how you can fix it yourself, definitely worth it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to help you out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks everyone.